Today is the 28th of January, and on the 29th of January 2022, we welcomed a new member to the Shizzy P family. A car. Yeah, I know, it's not a person or anything like that, but it is a wonderful car. A fantastic, sporty, luxurious, performance, prestige Porsche Macan S. This is the Gen 3 version, so the facelift version. I think this might be one of very few cars, well, probably one of Porsche's only cars that has ever been facelifted twice. And today I'm going to be telling you what journalists do not tell you. What has it been like living with this car for a year? Okay, I can't drive, I haven't driven the car, but I can tell you what it's like being a passenger in it. I can tell you some of the stats and stuff, and practicality-wise, what is the Macan actually like? So, let's begin. First things first, spec. It is a Macan S, so that is the mid-range version. There are 4 versions. Base Macan with a 2-litre engine, Macan T with the same 2-litre, and then you have the Macan S with a 2.9-litre and the GTS also with a 2.9-litre, but just tuned a bit faster. So 375 horsepower and 520 newton meters of torque is what you get, and that's good enough for 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. But actually, this car is equipped with Sports Chrono, which gives you launch control and a 0 to 60 time closer to about 3.8 seconds. Now we are talking, that's Ferrari F430 territory. This is fast. And bear in mind, this is a car with double glazing, air suspension, a leather interior, 4-wheel drive, and enough off-road capability for pretty much anyone in the UK. There are a few things that we found with this engine. It's really responsive, really responsive. Great engine, more than enough power. You don't actually need the GTS's power. The only reason why you'd want the GTS is for that slightly sportier, more engaging driving feel. The 2-litre version, not sure about it in the Macan. This is a 2-ton car, it's heavy. It is 60 kilos lighter, the 2-litre, but still not enough to kind of justify that. Plus the Macan S, you know, it is, I think, around £6,000 more expensive than the base Macan. But I think it's worth it because it's silky smooth, it sounds fantastic. But there are a few catches. First of all, there is no Macan hybrid. There is no Macan mild hybrid, no plug-in hybrid, no self-charging hybrid. There is a full electric Macan on the way, but otherwise, at the moment at least, you're stuck with a pure petrol bad boy. That does mean miles per gallon, not the best. The fuel consumption of this car when the engine was breaking in, which is between the first 1,500 miles of ownership, was about 12 miles per gallon in town. Yeah, not good at all. I'm pretty sure Ford Mustangs are about the same, and that's got a 5-litre naturally aspirated V8. So after the engine's broken in, you're getting around 16 around town. On the highway, if you're really careful, and you're just doing long M25 trips, if you're in London, you could be looking at potentially 31 miles per gallon, which is actually pretty good going. And the GTS is around the same, and surprisingly so is the 2-litre Macan. The reason for that being, that's a Golf GTI engine hauling a 2-ton SUV. So it's, you know, working out a little. What else then? Design. We've stuck for a standard solid white on this car, and you know what? Absolutely no regrets. It is a fantastic colour. It's kind of got that blend between standing out but also blending in with the crowd. This car was initially actually ordered by my dad in papaya metallic, the launch colour for the Gen 3, and it's a metallic orange colour. You'll see it like a similar sort of colour on Seats and Audis. No, it's a fantastic colour, brilliant colour, and I'm sure it would have suited this car, but it is quite bold, and I think white suits the Macan better than pretty much any other colour. Yeah, there are a few other good looking colours on it. Crayon, for instance, is fantastic, but it's ridiculously expensive, so we stuck with white and we have no complaints about it. It's quite easy to clean though. As you can see, it's dirty, but it does show the car has been used as it should be. Other like exterior options we went for, it's the standard wheels, the 20-inch dark titanium wheels, which look fantastic. The amount of concave is brilliant. It looks like something out of a Marvel film. And then other sort of like exterior options, black window trim surrounds, because chrome on white doesn't really go, there's not enough contrast, so the black worked well. And then privacy glass, which comes with the double glazing package that I'll go through in our options video, and that kind of gives it a stealthier kind of look. It's got a sort of green tint to it, but it's pretty good. And then apart from that, everything else is standard on the outside. So we've got the standard lava black 3D design side blades, and the black kind of continues around the car, and that's pretty much it from an exterior perspective. You join me enjoying the fantastic Bose surround sound system that we have fitted to this Macan, and I would say the interior of this car is a masterpiece. We have selected the partial Bordeaux red leather interior, and oh my god, it is fantastic with red seat belts. And because we've not gone for the full memory seats, it does, instead of having full red seats, have red seat centers instead, which looks brilliant. We've also got a brilliant Bose surround sound system, which did add to the production time of this car. It was delayed by 6 weeks, which was annoying, but thumbs up from inside. We've also, as I said, got Sport Chrono, which gives you the driver knob on the inside. No, I am not the driving knob. This is the drive select knob, and that kind of switches between Sport, Sport Plus, normal mode, and also an individual mode. Other things inside, well, we've gone for a brushed aluminium interior. Quite controversial nowadays because, you know, brushed aluminium just doesn't really sit well with most people. They kind of prefer, which is kind of strange, piano black, even though that picks up quite a few more fingerprints. It's free. It's a no-cost option on the Macan, which is fantastic. And there is a little bit of piano black, unfortunately, that we can't get rid of, and that's with the haptic feedback buttons. When this car came out, it wasn't extremely well received, but it was inevitable because the rest of Porsche's lineup has it. However, it's actually quite good to use. It's way more functional than I would have imagined, but there is a problem. It picks up fingerprints, scratches, dust, all of it. Even right now, after I wiped it with a microfiber cloth, it's gathering dust again. It's not that good in that sense, but otherwise all's pretty decent actually, and I like it in here. Oh yeah, another quick nice shot of the red seats that we have here. Absolutely fantastic. And one thing that I'd like to talk about is the infotainment system. When you buy a Macan, or any Porsche for that matter, you will be able to get what Porsche call the masterclass, where they basically walk through the infotainment system with the owner. For some weird reason, we decided not to take that offer and ended up struggling for the next few months of ownership on how to actually use the damn thing. But thankfully it's not that bad. You know, you've got a really clear and a responsive display with a great navigation system. Clear media, you know, you can have different favorites and hotkeys and stuff like that. Obviously you've got the other standard functions like phoning and car settings. However, Apple CarPlay, whilst that is standard, if you are an Android user, you're a bit stuffed. Porsche do offer that on their newer cars with PCM 6, but this has PCM 5, and it doesn't have it, which is it's a bit of a shame, but thankfully we are Apple users, so that doesn't really bother us much, if I'm honest. We've also got panoramic sunroof. I don't know if you can see that, but it allows a lot of light into the car, and it also adds to resale value, which doesn't really bother us. We're not planning on selling this car anytime soon, though we did actually think a few times about selling it, and I'll get into that later on. But it adds a lot of light into the car. It looks pretty good, and you can open it as well. Just it's a sunroof, isn't it? What do you expect? But apart from that, interior and infotainment system is pretty darn good. Let's get to the back. Now, for me, the Macan came very handily with a chauffeur. In fact, a choice of two: my mum and my dad. One of them's at home, one of them's behind the camera, so I'm afraid this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to open the back door myself. And it's locked! Great start, I'll be with you in 1 minute. I'm back, the car is unlocked. Ta-da! Again, let's take a moment to admire the fantastic interior. We also got floor mats, which have a diamond effect, and also red piping, which kind of, you know, lifts up the interior a little bit. These little details, that's really what makes the Macan yours. Yes, you do see a steering wheel lock after the Mercedes being stolen. You know, we didn't want to go through that pain again. If you want to see that video, I will put it in the link below. But back seat space, overall, it's not that bad. I am 5'9", and I've got good knee room, good headroom. Obviously I don't drive, but if I were to drive, my seating position would be like this as it is right now. And yeah, I've got enough space to move my feet underneath as well. And it's quite nice back here. If you remember on my BMW final thoughts review, which I will also put in the link in the description below, I did mention how the privacy glass blocks out a lot of light from coming into the back here. But thankfully, with the help of the pan roof and how Porsche have engineered this privacy glass, it isn't actually that dark at all here at the back. It does feel quite light, quite airy, and quite spacious. Now, if you're a kidnapper, this will be the part of the video to watch, because I'm about to show you why the Macan's boot space is actually fantastic. This is a 488 litre boot, which is pretty big for most people, but it's a little bit smaller than the competition, you know, BMW X3, Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5, they tend to have slightly larger boots. Also, if you have a spare wheel, it takes up a little bit of room underneath. And the spare wheel was one option which we did not tick. That was a mistake. We haven't had any punctures, fortunately, so far, but, you know, we then asked Porsche to try and retrofit it. You know, it's just something separate. And the local Porsche dealership were charging £800 for an option that's £161 on the configurator. So no spare wheel at the moment, but underneath here you do also get the Bose amplifier if you do get the fantastic Bose surround sound system. But otherwise, pretty good. A couple of other things you might want to know. Back here, you can also change the ride height of the car. You can lower and raise the back of it, so if you've got really heavy shopping or if you're just a lazy oaf like me, you might want to lower it down, but that's not lowering, but that's just because, you know, it's not turned on at the moment. If you also have a tow bar, this button here would be used to take it out and put it back in again. Other than that, you know, you can also fold down the rear seats. It's in a 40-20-40 split, which is quite handy. Some nets on the sides, and apart from that, all is well. Oh, 12-volt socket as well if you want to, you know, potentially electrocute your kidnapping victim. But yeah. Oh, another really cool feature here. I just shut the boot, and you can admire the wonderful Porsche tail bar. I can pause the height. So if I'm in a low ceilinged car park or anything like that, I can pause it there and press the button again and it will go back down. Really handy, really intuitive, and that's Porsche engineering. There are a few more personal anecdotes that I would like to share with you about the Macan during our ownership. I mentioned earlier that there was a time when we thought of potentially selling the Macan, and there was a very good reason for this. You see, market values of the Macan has been really very strong throughout the whole of 2022. We could have, let's just say, bought this car in January and sold it even in June 2022 and make a pretty hefty profit. That's how strong the values of these things are. And even now, January 2023, you could potentially sell something like this with around 6,000 miles on the clock and not really lose much cash at all. And that's because Macans have always been in really strong demand. So that was one kind of factor that kind of thought, hang on, maybe we could potentially sell this on, make a little profit, and then potentially order one in exactly the same spec, this time ticking the boxes that we forgot last time, and really just not lose anything at all. But we didn't, because, you know, we sort of loved this car, and, you know, waiting around for another year to get another Macan when we don't actually have another car to use, you know, that isn't the best situation to be in. But that wasn't the main thing that made us consider, hang on, do we actually want this car? On top of the fuel consumption, the relatively extortionate fuel prices at some points during 2022, the attention this car gets, it does get some unwanted attention, some good attention for sure. We've had people stop us at traffic lights saying, oh, it's a nice car, mate, but some, you know, slightly dodgy attention as well. But the fourth, and I'd say the main reason where we were very close to actually saying goodbye to the Macan was a fault. A fault with this car that was actually quite dangerous. Let me explain. Midway through 2022, Porsche decided to recall a few of these Gen 3 Macans, replacing an air conditioning sensor on the passenger side of the car, right? The idea of that was basically, you know, a little bit faulty, but it was also linked somehow, I think, to the adaptive cruise control, a feature that we've, yes, ticked on this car, and caused a few issues for us. Let me explain. We're driving down the road, about 40 miles per hour, boom. Suddenly the car slams on the brakes, right? Now, adaptive cruise control adds a feature called Porsche Active Safety. That basically means is if they see, if the car detects a pedestrian crossing the road or a car suddenly swerving into the lane, obviously the safety feature, ooh, that was a nice Bentley in the background, the safety feature will essentially slam on the brakes to prevent you colliding with that car in front or that pedestrian. But the difference was, when the car slammed on the brakes, when it happened, what was this, a few months ago, there wasn't a pedestrian and there wasn't a car. It just slammed on the brakes in the middle of the road, halving our speed. That was dangerous. If there was a car following a little bit too closely from behind, you know, could have gone straight into the back of us. That immediately kind of made the drive back a little bit more cautious. It wasn't the same after that, if you get what I mean. That kind of idea that the car was not necessarily operating as it should have kind of made us a little bit wary. Anyhow, it was fine until a few days later when it did exactly the same thing again. This scared us completely because it was not supposed to happen. This shouldn't have happened. The car should not be braking in the middle of the road when it doesn't need to. We immediately ring up Porsche and say, there's a fault with our car, blah, 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 and they say, okay, we'll check it out. And in all fairness, Porsche did come, I think, that the next day, in fact. They sent over a guy and they said, yep, okay, all checked. It's safe to drive to the nearest Porsche centre to get sorted. So, my dad drove all the way to the nearest Porsche centre, Porsche Chiswick. We didn't buy the car from them, but it was the closest, and we decided to go to there to get the car sorted. And Porsche said, yep, We'll check it and we'll give it back to you when we're ready. And we were going to Wales that weekend. We got a Citroen C3 Aircross with a manual gearbox, which meant that my mum couldn't drive it. So it was a drive to Wales that was loud, dingy, annoying. It's not a bad car. The Citroen's not a bad car. It's a pretty good car, but it's not a Macan. And that was going to be the first long drive that we were going to do with it, and we couldn't, which is a shame. We found out it was just a common known fault, and it's not happened again since we've actually, since we've got that fixed. And yeah, I think overall, that kind of changed our experience a little bit, but after that, we've loved every single moment of it. And I think the best thing about Porsche is they came, fixed it immediately for us. They didn't charge us anything for it because it wasn't supposed to happen. And it's no fault of their own. It was just simply a fault with the car, which happens. It happens on all new cars, guys. And to be honest, it shouldn't put you off at all. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you kind of liked the Macan as well, as much as we've loved it. And if you're considering getting one, there will be more videos on this channel at some point in the future. You know, hopefully I won't be waiting around for several months as I have done to make this video, but you know, hope you enjoy it, and see you next time.
Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot.